I've been told I'm not supposed to move, so we'll see. Yeah. So I'm here to talk about the riveting topic of CRM systems. Not as glamorous maybe as some of the content that we just heard and learned about, but still vitally important as you're marketing and particularly scaling your business. So a bit about me, just to kick it off for those who don't know me. I have been an entrepreneur my entire career. I started at 20, just like we just heard from this gentleman, and I thought I'll just kick it off with something easy, so I did international distribution. I don't really know what drew me to it, but that's how I kind of ended up here in the top, signing a trade deal at Mars Discovery District in Toronto, where I was importing tea for children. And from there, I went on to do different things. I started up a PR company prior to Forward Creative. I also created a software to better connect landlords and tenants, which I subsequently exited. And I started Forward Creative about 5 years ago. And when we started Forward Creative, it was 2020, which was a really interesting period to start a business. We started in January, and very quickly, everything shut down. And when we kicked off Forward Creative, I said, you know, this is a challenge that we need to respond to, and we did. So we started building free e-stores for small businesses that had shut down, and that kind of made me understand through all of the different ventures, the common thread was social impact. And so through all business activities that we do at Forward Creative, we bring a social impact or community impact lens. And that's led us to scale quite well. We have a team of about 10 now, as well as some additional consultants that we bring on project-specific roles. And we've done projects funded by all of these lovely funders here on the screen, and they've supported many different entrepreneurs to access our services. Currently, Forward Creative is going through an expansion phase, so we do a lot of different services. Typically, as a creative agency, you do branding, marketing, and web development, and we do quite a lot of that work, and we've done it with hundreds of businesses in Atlantic Canada. But we've started scaling, and we now work on more strategic projects. We work with government, and so over the next year, we're going to be launching Forward Communities as well. And Forward Communities does community engagement, strategic planning, as well as development services. So it's an exciting period, and we're growing, but most importantly, all along the way is that social impact lens, and that I think it's really important as business people, especially in rural communities, we remember that we have an incredible amount of power to make a big difference. Not that that has anything to do with CRMs, but now we're going to talk about CRMs. So who here has signed up for an email subscription to get a coupon? Yes. Who has opened a newsletter they enjoy reading? Maybe Ignite has a newsletter. Do you guys have a newsletter? Yeah, the Ignite newsletter. Digital Nova Scotia's newsletter. If not, they are great, and you should open them. Who's received an email showing them products that they looked at already in the past? And who's received an appointment reminder via SMS or email? Those are all functions of CRMs. So all of those different activities can be initiated from a CRM, and as customers, we exist inside of, I would caution a guess, maybe even hundreds of CRM systems, our personal data. And so as we can see with the big businesses, whether it's signing up for a coupon or even small businesses and nonprofits, opening a newsletter from them, CRMs play an important role in their business, and it can play an important role in your business too. And I say business throughout this, but I mean it interchangeably with nonprofit organizations as well. Customer relationship management tools can be found in almost every sector. So what is a CRM really? A CRM is a tool or a system that helps businesses keep track of their interactions with customers and continuously engage them in that relationship building. Depending upon your sector that your business exists within, your CRM may be called different things. In the charitable sector, sometimes they're called donor management systems. Sometimes, if you're in retail, point of sale systems can have a CRM component to it. So the best rule of thumb is that if you're taking in information about your customers, in particular their emails or their phone numbers, and you're storing it in that system, that's probably acting as your CRM. And you can build upon that system as well with other CRM tools. So as we go through, I will call it a CRM, but it's important to remember that if you use a POS system, or if you're a clinic, you use something like Jane app, those could also be functioning as your CRM throughout the talk. So some examples of CRM systems, we have HubSpot. I have here like best 4, but to be honest, as I was saying right before we started, the best CRM for your business depends on your business, depends on what you want to do with your CRM, depends on your industry. And so although I've got some best 4s here, take it with a grain of salt, because depending upon what you're working within, you may find that something else works better for you. The way that we use CRMs can really vary by industry as well. So as we're looking at something like our business, a consultancy, we take in a lot of data in our CRM and we track our deals within it. So as they go through the process of proposal, onboarding, offboarding, et cetera, that would all flow through our CRM. Whereas if you have an e-commerce store, your CRM may have much less deal information or purchase information and much more qualitative information about that person, so that you can effectively target them with messaging. So depending upon your sector, you may choose CRMs for different reasons. I was asked what is my least favorite CRM as well before I started, and I have to say it is MailChimp. I don't hope they're not like on this thing, but yeah, I don't love it very much. MailChimp, who here uses MailChimp? Yeah. So MailChimp previously had a partnership with Shopify. And so it gained popularity quite rapidly. But when you compare MailChimp to something like Klaviyo, which is Shopify's new email marketing partner, it kind of pales in comparison. And a lot of the qualitative data that you can hold in MailChimp is often not as great as other CRM tools. And I get this a lot too. Another tool, I just got a handle on social media. We talked a lot this morning about social media, but we see quite often that when you do take a holistic marketing approach, kind of hearing about that omni-channel marketing, you can have much greater success than kind of pigeoning yourself into one marketing platform or tool. And as we know right now, social media is a bit of a dangerous playground. I will be the one that talks about this because I think it's really important as business owners, especially as Wes mentioned today we have officially entered a trade war. I think it's really important that we make sure our businesses are resilient to what these changes may bring for us. Who here heard about the TikTok ban? That was a really big deal. And so even though we see things like a TikTok ban happening south of the border and we think, well, as Canadians, I mean, we'll still have TikTok, a lot of the content that's made on TikTok comes from the United States. And so as we see these political shifts, as we see, Elon Musk in the White House and how that affects X, and as well as outages, social media is crucially important for your business, but I highly recommend it's not the only thing that you keep your business marketing on, because as we start to see these major changes and shifts, and we see, what the effect of those billionaires in office has on our world, things can change very rapidly. So the other challenges that come with social media that can make it a unique platform to market your business, but also a challenging platform to market your business on, is that, for one, there's algorithm dependency. So if you are marketing solely on social media and you are putting your content out there, you are relying that the social media algorithms will show your content to those particular visitors. or social media users. And although we heard from Ingrid some great ways on how we can work within that algorithm to do the best that we can with our content, it's something that we don't see as a particular challenge within CRMs. There are other challenges, but it's not one that we see there. We also have cost increases on social media. So as platforms have become used by billions of users worldwide, companies realize the power that they have over businesses. And so that really creates a world where if they were to shrink our organic reach algorithmically and encourage us to spend more on paid advertising, and we previously relied on our social media channels, we would essentially be at the mercy of having to do that paid advertising. For some, that's a moral issue. For some, it's simply a budget issue, but it's definitely an issue that we need to keep our eye on as we build our social media channels. There's also account risks. So as we heard about with the contests, for example, although it's very rare, there are times when our social media platforms can be taken away from us. And sometimes it's a mistake. Sometimes nothing really happened to make that happen. And I've seen it time and time again. Google My Business is also really bad for this, and they can make you jump through incredible hoops to get your Google My Business listing back. And so as we think about growing our social platform, extremely important, we should be thinking about how we can mitigate these risks. And also shifting audience behaviors. The use of certain digital platforms can say something about your business. If you are using X right now, we saw in HRM, it was tabled amongst counselors to bring HRM off of X because of Elon Musk's presence in the US political system. So staying on X may say something about your business. Being on Meta might say something about your business. And so it's very challenging to stay up to date with this. And it's very stressful when you've built a following on these channels, and then all of a sudden that following is maybe shifting to another channel, and suddenly you need to learn a new channel. And all of this to say is it's not all doom and gloom, but I really think it's important that we understand, as much as it's important to build our social accounts, it's important to make our businesses resilient to the changes that we're starting to face as a country and as businesses. So CRM and email marketing, what's the main difference? In your CRM, you own that communication channel. So you don't necessarily own the platform itself. The platform could increase its costs, it could, change its functionality, but the emails and the content about the people within your CRM can be exported tomorrow, today. On social media, you can't do that. They own the content. They own the lists, the followings. When you own your CRM, you can take that content anywhere. You're not married to a platform. You can switch your CRM platform, and that's really powerful when you're thinking about building a resilient business and a resilient marketing strategy. It also enables more direct customer relationships without that third-party interference. So you can reach your customer's inbox without any kind of stigma around how you reach that customer's inbox. And also, it allows for really precise audience segmentation. And this is where the power of CRM comes in, is that as you add your people to your CRM, and as you start using your CRM and integrating it into your other tools, you can really segment the people that you're engaging with into many different lists. And within those lists, send them content that really resonates with them. You can add merge tags and say, hey, Jim, at the beginning of that email, and that really fosters a relationship with a customer that's different than the relationships that we build on social media. So how does it work? First of all, you collect your emails, you collect your phone numbers, and that's your audience. So you're building your audience yourself in your CRM. You cannot, like social media, create an email and send it before you have built that list. So although it is an owned list, it's yours to build it. And so you really get to own that audience within your CRM. It's about segmentation and personalization, so you can deliver tailored messages based on customer interests and behaviors. Going back to the beginning of the slideshow when we talked about receiving emails from companies where you've looked at those products online and now they're suddenly in your email, That's through one simple integration that can be done between your e-commerce platform and your CRM to automate those types of emails. So you can make people feel like you know what they're looking at, like you know what they like. Sometimes this can not go in your favor too, so you want to make sure you're not too creepy when you're doing it. And as we see with a lot of times people will say, I was just talking about this item and now I've got an ad for it, or now it's in my email. Sometimes that can make people feel a bit nervous. And previously I would have said they don't listen to us, but as we've seen recently, Apple is getting sued because they potentially did listen to us. Segmenting and personalization in your CRM is not listening to your customers. It's simply taking the data that they've done on your website, using cookies, and serving them things that they like. And generally speaking, I find with small business, people tend to give them the benefit of the doubt with these sorts of things, unlike our monopolistic friends. And so we also can automate that engagement. So very quickly we can create templates in CRMs that can send these messages to customers without actually having to do a lot of personal interference with the messages. And that can provide a lot of power to solo entrepreneurs or entrepreneur duos that don't necessarily have a marketing team built in, but want to have that connection point with their customers. It's very, very easy to automate in CRMs. Once you get in there, they've built it to be user-friendly. Probably with Jamie's advice, they've made the UX something that's so simple to build out these automated campaigns. And so once you're in there, playing around with the tool, you'll start to see, as you flex the muscle, it's quite simple to build from there and start growing out what that CRM and that content looks like. And it's direct and measurable communication. So much like we have analytics on social media, we have analytics in our CRM as well. And that can help us understand who's opening our messages, how long are they reading our messages, what buttons are they clicking in our messages. And generally, as we start to get to know our customers, this can be really valuable information. One example that I like to give here is with a chocolate company in Nova Scotia that was generally sending out newsletters through their CRM. Newsletters are a great place to start. But what we worked with them on was how can we make an automation so that we're serving newsletters or marketing campaigns to the people that love dark chocolate about dark chocolate, not about white chocolate, not about milk chocolate, so that we can actually segment and show our customers what it is that they really want to see. And what we do see when we do that is that there is a great sales ROI. So for small businesses that are looking to invest in something, particularly if you're looking at an agency for help, a CRM is a great initial investment versus something that may take a lot longer to grow, like SEO, for example, because it has that sales connection, it has that conversion connection. So you can start to see your sales and ROI grow quite significantly when you really harness the power of that CRM. So how can you get started? The first thing I say is before you even choose a CRM, if you have a retail store, if you have an e-commerce store, start collecting your emails. Like today, just turn on the button, just add the piece of paper at the checkout, because you have to build this list. The list won't build by itself. And so the first thing to do is make sure that you're collecting those emails. Choosing your CRM system can be a valuable way to also build that email list. So some people do like to go right out the gate, choose their CRM system, and integrate it into their website. For people that have a bit of technical knowledge, that's a 10-minute process. It's not too challenging. But if this is something that you would need help with, just building that paper list is a place that you can start before you're ready to invest in having some help to set up your CRM. And so when you're choosing that CRM, you really want to research the right one for your industry and research the right one for you. A lot of us know Salesforce, for example. Salesforce is a very well-known CRM. It's extremely expensive. There are some more affordable versions of it, but it's also extremely complicated. And so when we want to choose the right CRM, we want to make sure that even if, Everybody is saying, go with Salesforce. Everybody in this industry is using Salesforce. If you don't have the time or budget to allocate to Salesforce, start with MailChimp. Even if I say I don't like MailChimp. Start with MailChimp, because the habit of just using that CRM and building that out is better than trying to take on something too complex, investing too much, or getting frustrated and simply stopping to use that CRM system. I did work with a charity that used MailChimp, not that I'm hating on MailChimp too much, but that used MailChimp for their CRM. And the reason why it can pose challenges is because when you are in a specific industry, like a charity, you need to know different types of information about your customer than another industry, for example. So for charities, a really important point is the donor, understanding what the donor does. Are they a repeat donor? Are they a one-off donor? Are they a monthly donor? And so MailChimp can't very easily give you eyes on that other than manually kind of creating lists. And so you really want to spend some time researching what makes the most sense for your business. You can Google it. You can ask ChatGPT for pros and cons. It'll give you a nice table. But you can also ask people in your industry what they are using, because that can often provide some insight. That's quite valuable. And then set it up for success. So as I said, that 20 minutes to embed it on your site, take the extra 20 minutes just to create like a couple lists inside that CRM. 1 or 2 lists is better than 1 list. 3 or 4 lists is even better, because as we start to see people segmented, we can target our communications and have more effective communications to that audience. Some CRMs, particularly Klaviyo, for example, will automate this process for you, which is really nice. Some CRMs, like HubSpot, will automatically scrape information about your customer. So if I put in wes@ignite.ca, it will actually pull up Ignite's organization information just from scraping the internet. So depending on your needs and what you would like to know about your customer, you can start building out those lists or rely on your tool to build the lists out for you. And then when you're ready, set up a small automation. It doesn't need to be a funnel. It doesn't need to be a 10-step, if this, then this. It can just be a welcome email. Just the function of when someone subscribes, they automatically receive this email saying, thanks for subscribing and a bit about the business, will get you set up and acquainted to using how the automations work. And then what you'll find is that your CRM will probably send you automated emails about how you can harness your CRM more. And so as you start to read and learn more about that CRM and you start building out those automations, you should see equivalent ROI start to pick up in your business. A great example of how you can really take an automation to the next level is a project we did with a healthcare clinic that was selling orthotics. And every year people would come in for their orthotics, and then they would call the customers to get their orthotics the following year. Instead, what we did was we built an automation where every month they would receive a valuable touch point about their orthotics, how to clean your orthotics, how to make your orthotics last longer. And then at the end of 12 months, we gave them an insurance reminder. And we said, your insurance has likely refreshed since your last visit to the clinic, and if you'd like a new pair of orthotics, come and see us. And we saw a massive jump in repeat customers after we built that automation. And so it really speaks to the fact that when a customer feels like you understand them and you know where they are at any given point in time, they're more willing to engage with your business. So how does a CRM make a difference in your industry? In retail and e-commerce, I'm going to go through a few different examples of some unique ways that we can harness CRM depending on the industry. So in retail and e-commerce, AI-driven recommendations can be extremely powerful. So as I said with Klaviyo, if you sign up with a CRM that's built for e-commerce, it will start giving recommendations based on what it's learned about your customer and serve those in the emails without any interaction from you as the business owner. And that's not to say that it will go and, write content and build out the newsletter. You can have a say in what the template looks like, what the content looks like, so you're not feeling that things are going to your customers without your knowledge. You have a good level of granular control over it, but the AI will definitely help you serve products to customers that they are more interested in looking at than if you were to just send them a newsletter about your newest products. So AI can be a huge benefit there. You can also use AI to help write the content for your newsletter. So if you're struggling to come up with things, it can be incredible for writer's block, and just getting some ideas out and helping you kind of get into that process of using your CRM. For service-based businesses, customer feedback loops are a huge benefit to scaling your business and understanding your customer. Going back to how can we really understand what it is that our customer wants, giving them the opportunity to tell you what they want in a simple and easy way can offer you a lot of insights. So we see this a lot. A lot of hair salons have adopted this process where they'll give you a reminder before your haircut, and then after your haircut, maybe like 10 minutes after you walk out of the shop, it will say, how was it? You'll get a text message or you'll get an email. Let us know how we did. And not only can that help you understand if you didn't do well, which is just as important learning as if you did, but it can also help you feed into your other marketing channels. So you can build things like conditional feedback loops where if they rate it 5 stars, you send them to your Google reviews. But if they rate it 4 stars or below, you don't. And so you can kind of play with that system a little bit by using these customer feedback loops. And a lot of CRMs will have those as automated templates right within them when you get them out of the box. In healthcare and wellness, we see them a lot with appointment reminders, but also follow-up care. So if you're in any para-health practice, follow-up care can be really good for nurturing the customer relationship and making it feel a bit less transactional. So you can continue to talk to them about how they can benefit from doing other wellness things in between their visits. And within those, you can also provide them the prompt to rebook too. And so that's where we get into that ROI piece. Oops. Nonprofits and membership organizations, I know we have a couple of those in here now. As I said, tracking your donation history engagement for personalized outreach, but also understanding which campaigns really resonated with which people. And this really applies to any industry. If you are testing out messaging, you can A/B test within your CRM to say, does this campaign headline work better or does this campaign headline work better? And the CRM will tell you which had the best open rates, which had the best click-through rates. And so you can start learning what messaging also does quite well for your business. And I know a lot of this can sound like kind of a lot of work to undertake, but once you get into the systems, I promise they make it very easy to implement. Your stats will be right there on your dashboard when you open, and even screenshotting those stats and uploading that picture into ChatGPT, it can analyze it for you. So you don't need to be a data scientist. You just need to use the tools that you have as best as you can in front of you, and you'll start to see an ROI. And B2B and professional services. This is how we use our CRM the most. It's our pipeline and deal management. That would be probably relevant to your business as well. But it can help automate that lead tracking. So when a lead comes in the door, they've come through your website, maybe they booked on Calendly if you have Calendly, or maybe they've requested a portfolio. You can put them into either a pipeline where they start to get nurtured to book a call with you, or you can even start tracking that deal. So you can have a process for yourself on the inside of the CRM, where you have, as soon as the deal comes in, now I need to reach out and book a meeting. Then I move the contact to that phase. Then I need to send them a proposal, and I move the contact to that phase. Then I need to close the deal. Then I move the contact to that phase. Then I need to onboard them. So we have these processes inside of our business, and sometimes for small businesses, they live in our head. And that is a common problem that we face when we're trying to scale into the next step, because as great as it is, entrepreneurs are incredibly intelligent people. They're risk takers, and it's very, very important that if we do have the vision to scale our company, to bring on more staff, that we have these things defined within tools like CRMs, so that we can more effectively train people when they come in to take on that role in particular. It can also really help with sales forecasting. It can do this in e-commerce as well, but as you're starting to send out campaigns and it's starting to continue to learn, you can start to see when you may see a uptick or when you may see a dip in sales based on that activity. And so that can give you a lot of insights into cash flow management for your business if those are major channels for you. So the nitty-gritty. These are the questions that we often get around CRMs, because I think we also have a lot of email fatigue, just like we have news fatigue and social fatigue, and we're all really tired in general. But the question is, do people actually read marketing emails, or do they mostly just skim or delete? Who here reads marketing emails? Yeah, a couple. Newsletters are, I would consider marketing emails. Your order transaction emails when your product's shipped, anything you've ordered, those are opportunities to continue to market and harness the opportunity to give more content. And so as we start to see, marketing emails be more and more flooded in our inbox, the most important thing we need to do is figure out how can we stand out. So how can we make it that our email is the one that gets opened? Personally, I find that during the day, during my workday, I very rarely open, other than a few newsletters that I religiously read for general industry updates, I very rarely open my marketing emails, but I'm on a couple SMS threads that are like sending me texts about deals, and I am falling for it. Like, I am continuously falling for it, and I should see it for what it is, but it's working. And sometimes it's not that in that moment they're making the purchase. It's not that in that email or in that text message they're making the purchase, but you're staying top of mind. So even if you see that email from The Gap come in, you might not be opening that email. You might not be thinking about buying from that email, but you will still be remembering The Gap. The Gap will still be relevant in your mind as a brand that's important, that's in your periphery. And so as small businesses, that's extremely powerful, because a lot of major brands and major companies have huge advertising budgets that they can really bombard people with content, but as small businesses, we're always working against that. And so any way that you can, in an almost free way, show up with your customer, it's something that we should really be considering to harness, because it's a challenging world out there, especially in sectors like consumer and packaged goods. Another question, who can I add to my company's email list? So there is legislation around who you can add to your email list. And although some companies don't always follow this legislation, I highly recommend that you do. And that's why we are starting to see all those opt-ins or consent messages around email marketing. So asking people if they're okay with messaging them is a good rule of thumb, and I think it goes back to relationship building too. I think it's fair to ask someone for consent if you're going to show up in their inbox. If you do have an e-commerce or a website that you think may potentially have traffic coming from Europe, you also will need to comply with GDPR legislation, which is really not too hard. There's a lot of out-of-the-box solutions that you can kind of add into your website, and really all it is a cookie consent and a good privacy policy. But all of those things kind of make this the best practice for how to kind of take that information from your customers and utilize it without kind of crossing any boundaries that we wouldn't want to. What makes some brands' emails stand out while others get ignored? Anyone want to take a stab? What we think makes an email stand out? What's an email that you would click on? Images, yeah. Before the image though, even? Subject lines, yeah. Yeah, clickbait, yeah. So subject lines are incredibly powerful. That is what motivates the person to open that email. Sometimes we don't want to be too clickbaity, because sometimes it can make our customers feel like, really? Like, you made me open this and there's nothing inside. We always want to be delivering value, because even if we get opened that one time because we had a clickbait subject line, we want them to still feel that they had value when they did open it. So as long as we're delivering content that is speaking to our customers, so going back to like building out those personas, building out that ideal customer profile, and making sure that the content that we write and we produce and the images that we include resonate with them, the more likely that they are to not just open it the first time, but continue to open it. And I think that's why, you know, those newsletters, like from Ignite, like from Digital Nova Scotia, like from our Seed, because they speak to entrepreneurs and they know what entrepreneurs need, they continue to get opens and clicks from entrepreneurs that are interested in learning more about what the organization does. So making sure that it's not just about that one-time open, it's about convincing them that the relationship is there to continue to open in every message. Thank you, and questions? I feel like I was a little fast, but let's see. Thank you.
The lunch hangover. Here we go.
So just for clarity, so when you're talking about CRM, you're talking about MailChimp or Salesforce or any of the other ones. So,
yep.
And those can be very different spectrums. I mean,
100%.
You may be just writing a newsletter for your kids' basketball team on MailChimp, yep. But Salesforce, you're trying to drive business to your storefront.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any experience with one-page CRM?
Okay.
I was looking for like something really simple because I feel like I'm in this in-between stage where I was trying to do an Excel spreadsheet for my CRM, but then I have Flowdesk for my emails, and then I'm using QuickBooks, and then I have Shopify. So I'm in this like really messy space of like, I need to create better systems.
Yeah.
Can you give a good like small business recommendation on some systems that fit together?
Yeah, so I tend to look at systems like kind of peeling back the curtain on what you're using each individual tool for, because as we start to see software as a service as an industry really start to grow, a lot of softwares are trying to kind of eat into each other's domains. And so, you know, when you're looking at building out a system, I would kind of peel back into what am I using each tool for in particular, and you know, are these functionalities really necessary to be in unique systems? Is there one that can do it all for me? Would that be more economical? Or is there a package that can work together that can be fully integrated and seamless, so that you're not kind of flipping information back and forth between systems manually? I can't, you know, say there's like a one-shot CRM kind of holistic software package that works best, but whenever you're signing up for a software, whenever I'm signing up for a software, the first page before I look at pricing, I look at integrations. And as we're building software as a service tools right now, actually integrations are one of the most important components of building out a software. So companies are also looking at their integrations to make that process a lot more easy for entrepreneurs. And I would also say that if you are struggling with your different softwares in terms of getting them to all speak together, there are certain tools like Zapier. Although it's not necessarily free, they can help you kind of bridge the connections between them, so that it's a bit less cumbersome as you're moving between systems. So I don't know if that answered your question like perfectly, but yeah. I'm constantly looking for another app to add on, which is another $19.95 a month, you know, and it's just, and then it's like they do all overlap each other. Yeah. You know, I could send out emails through one-page CRM, but they're not pretty. So I like Flowdesk because and I've already got lots of things uploaded through there, so I don't want to go through all the headache of creating that again with something else. But at the same time, they don't all do all of it. Right? Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes that's where the piece of kind of doing the research around that tool can provide a lot of input. If you were to take your tools that you're using and just put them into ChatGPT and say, like, I'm using these 5 tools, there's some redundancy in here potentially, or maybe there's a system that I don't know about that can have kind of these different functionalities that I'm really using from these different tools, it could potentially give you options beyond what you've already looked at. Choosing a CRM can also be like a really, I'd say like personal process for a business. One challenge that I heard of recently was around data centers. as we hold personal information around people. Some organizations are legislated to have their data centers in Canada. It can be very challenging to find a CRM that allows you to have data centers in Canada. A lot of them are in the US. So I would say the best thing to do is write out the tools that you're using, write out the primary functions that you're using from within those tools, and ask ChatGPT if there's a more optimized way to structure what you're already using, or to tell you if there's a tool that kind of encompasses more of these. And if, for example, you're in QuickBooks and you're married to QuickBooks, like that's a big process to come out of your accounting system, just leave that off the list and say these 5, but I would like it to integrate with QuickBooks.
I feel like I'll have to go back to my credit card statement to actually pull up how many subscriptions I actually have.
Yeah, there's probably a lot.
Oh my gosh, then there's Notion. And then did I mention Shopify?
Yeah, and Notion was actually, is an interesting one because Notion is really a project management tool, but it can be used as a CRM, just not so much on the mass emailing side. But Notion was built around the concept of how people think. So they actually used a scientist out of Japan to build the tool, and Notion has gained like incredible popularity because it can consolidate you out of a lot of those subscriptions into one platform, but you probably would still need some integrations with your QuickBooks and those sorts of things. But choosing a top tool can be really beneficial rather than like a kind of fringe tool because of that integration piece too.
Yeah, you could.
I sort of have the same question, but, and maybe the answer is the same because I did use ChatGPT while you were speaking and got answers, but is it reasonable to have a CRM for B2B sales? I have 300 customers in the world, and then another CRM like MailChimp to do newsletter campaigns?
Yeah, some people do that. In our case, we have our like pipeline CRM for like our sales deals, B2B, and we have our email marketing platform as well, and they're integrated. But that was mostly because the pipeline CRM didn't have the emailing function, but now it does. So we'll be able to probably churn from that additional piece. I would make your decision based on what brings the most value to your business. If those B2B sales are really critical and that pipeline that you've built around that is driving most of your revenue, I would either look at swapping out your email marketing tool or adding in an email marketing tool rather than trying to churn that over into something so you can do those mass emails. But I would also not hesitate to send product recommendations, development recommendations to the softwares that you're using for functionality enhancements, because they do listen to those.
I'm not even sure you'll be able to answer this. So for those of us who wear many hats and have like different part-time things that are all requiring some of these tools, do you suggest to have separate accounts for all of them, or to somehow, because not every, like if I'm doing A, I won't need the same tool as for my actions for my task B, for instance, like, I guess, and then managing all of those passwords and subscriptions and how to.
So you have multiple different organizations. And the organization, I would say that the decision around the CRM should be based on the organization. So what is best for that organization, just in case at some point you may leave and you want something that suits that organization best. And although it can be challenging, as like also I feel the pain, we work with clients with many different CRM systems, so I'm often kind of logging into all these different tools to build out these automations and such. But at the end of the day, a lot of the function, like the core functionality pieces, will look very similar in the different tools. So as you get more adept at one, you'll find that that skill can really cross over into the other CRM. Another tip, if you're doing a lot of different organization works that has nothing to do with CRM, I got this app called Superhuman. It is an email app. I do pay for it. It's another subscription, but it has consolidated all of my inboxes into one. So I'm with Outlook, Gmail, depending on, I have client inboxes, I have my inbox, I have charity inboxes. So I can have them in tabs in Superhuman. And it's got a lot of keyboard functionalities to go really fast through your emails, because it's like the bane of my existence is managing emails. But Yeah, check it out. It's a good one.
Thank you.
Extremely helpful, as
Yeah.
always. Thank you very much.
My
Round of
pleasure.
applause for Mary Ellen.